Hey, Mom.
Gosh darn it. Okay, I remembered the waterproof mascara, you guys, this time. Just lots of silly moments and really beautiful moments. That is something that I had pictured for so many years.
Oh my god, wow.
Basically, the baby blues hit me really, really hard. I started questioning the connection that I had with my baby. I am not okay for this video, you guys. I am not okay. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope y'all are doing super duper well. Jack again is out with baby girl. We finagled the morning and I am excited to fill you guys in on the last few weeks and what that has looked like for us and what postpartum has looked like for me personally. But real quick, hello if you are new. My name is Mac, my husband's name is Jack. Yes, Mac and Jack, and we were on a 3-year infertility journey before we welcomed our beautiful baby girl into this world. I'll leave my birth vlog down below in case you want to watch that. I have my full birth story also up at this point, so I'll leave that link down below. And then if you're curious about my infertility journey, or if you're on your own infertility journey or TTC and you want to binge those videos, I have a full playlist that I also have on my channel, so I'll leave that link down below as well. So I had all of these grand plans to film the first 24 hours in the hospital, the first night or day at home with baby, and all of those got pretty squashed when Jack and I realized that when we went from the delivery room to the recovery room, it's 2 separate rooms in our hospital, that we left a couple chargers plugged into the wall in our delivery room, and one of which was the camera battery charger. And you would think it would be easy to recover, but for some reason it was really difficult to track that down, so we lost it. And so the only footage we have is whatever our battery could handle. That was already in the camera, but honestly it was a blessing in disguise because it just allowed us to be so much more probably present than we would have been if we were trying to film like full-on vlogs versus just get little clips and memories on our phones like we normally would if we weren't vlogging. And honestly, I had no idea what the first 24 hours or what the first week or what the first few weeks were going to look like for us. So to be able to just exist and soak it in for those first few weeks was honestly the blessing in disguise, like I was saying. But we still have a ton of clips and a ton of pictures that we took on our phones. So even if they don't make up a concise vlog like I'm saying, I still want to share these little clips that we captured over the first few weeks. I've thought a lot on how I wanted to structure this video specifically because although those moments are so real and they're so beautiful and they're so happy, my experience the first few weeks postpartum and with our baby were not all sunshine, and so I decided that I wanted to make room for both. So we'll start off by talking about a couple of sad things that had to do with the first couple weeks, a couple of updates. Then I want to talk about all the happy memories, the things that you guys have probably seen on Instagram so far, and then I want to end with talking candidly about my personal postpartum experience. So we kicked off our very first week with a couple of pretty tough things, which I'm sure did not contribute well to how I ended up feeling during postpartum. But first off, a major update that you guys would eventually probably notice anyway, and I haven't actually talked about it besides just with close friends and family, so it is a little emoji, but we ended up having to rehome. Gosh darn it. Okay, I remembered the waterproof mascara, you guys, this time. Last time in the birth video, I didn't do the waterproof one, but I did it this time. We ended up having to rehome Miss Allie because it just was not a good fit. I'm not going to go into detail because it was pretty traumatic. Everyone's fine. Everyone is fine. Thank goodness. But she did not warm up to baby girl, and she has always had slight aggression issues like we've talked about on this channel before, and we have done literally everything to work through them together with her. But when it comes to the safety of our new baby, it's just a non-negotiable, and everything lined up so perfectly, and everything happened and clicked so fast. And when I say perfectly, remember, if you guys follow on Instagram, but I think we mentioned it in videos leading up to the birth, that we had painters in our house at 38 weeks pregnant, which was, now you know, like a week before I gave birth, that I was scheduled for an induction. But one of the painters was actually looking for a cat, and so the fit was perfect. They don't have any other cats at home because it's very clear that she needs to be a single cat only household. And we got to meet that person and know that person over a week, and we think that they are just lovely. And we got some updates here and there once they ended up taking Miss Sally, and Miss Sally now has a dog, you guys. We say it like that. She has a dog. Now Miss Sally has a dog and they're besties. But it was incredibly difficult to work through, and that was the first 24 hours in our house. So that was definitely a whirlwind of a first experience home with our baby. And then another major thing in the first week that we were home, there was an active shooter here in Maine. And to say that out loud is incredibly surreal. The state of Maine, you just don't think of these things. I don't think anyone thinks of these things happening in their town, in their home space at all. But in Maine, it was really, really difficult to like wrap your mind around it. And it happened only an hour away from us, and they didn't catch the person until a few days later. So having a new family at home and having that unsettling cloud kind of in the background, also having to rehome our cat not days before, it was just wild. So I just wanted to paint that picture of the first week home for us, just a few updates, and without further ado, let's dive into some really happy things, okay? So just jumping back real quick to the hospital and moments after birth. Again, if you want to know the full birth story and where I'm kind of picking up from where we left off there, that video will be linked down below. But as soon as baby girl was born and she was on my chest, we did a solid feed. Baby girl latched right away, and I feel very, very lucky to say that. And honestly, I didn't know what breastfeeding was going to look like for me. I was trying to go in with an open mind, and I just felt really lucky because I didn't know what was going to happen. But she latched right away. She fed basically right away. So we have those moments together. And then Jack did skin to skin, and that was the most beautiful moment. Like, I loved my skin to skin, but watching my husband do skin to skin with our new baby was just like everything. And you guys know Jack by now, so just like the type of person it was beautiful for me. I loved that. Baby girl was born at 9:08 p.m. on the 22nd, and after everything was said and done, stitching up, recovering, cleaning up, all of that stuff, we ended up getting into the recovery room at around 3 a.m. I don't think either of us slept really, and I didn't sleep the night before either, so looking back at that, that's probably where the whole whirlwind of the hospital probably started. But either way, we ended up calling my parents, I believe that morning, if not early afternoon, because again, nobody knew that we had gone in for an induction, so we were just really excited to drop that bomb on my family.
Okay, so I think...
What are we gonna say?
Shock and awe. I think you call from my phone.
Okay.
Your mom's gonna answer, and I think you give it a beat. She's gonna go hello. You give it a beat, and I think you just go, hey mom, how would you like to come meet your new granddaughter?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Turn it up.
Hello.
Hey mom.
Hi.
How do you want to come meet your new granddaughter?
I think I do.
Okay.
Oh my God. How are you?
But it's a long story.
Okay. All right. So I've just come to the emergency entrance, basically, right?
We were thinking around like dinner time.
We'll come by with food at 5.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. All right. But you're good?
Yeah, everything is good. Everything is good.
All
yeah,
right.
I'm looking good. All my vitals are good. My blood is good. Everything's good, and baby is perfect. So.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right.
Okay.
We'll see you at 5.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you, bye. Since then, my mom let us know that she was actually in the bathroom at LL Bean when we gave her that call. So that's why she kind of sounded really like flustered, and she was also in a bathroom like in public, because it also turns out that she had an inkling that something was awry. She had no idea that we had a scheduled induction, but she just felt like maybe I was in labor, maybe I was going to the hospital, like something felt off with her, and so she wanted to be as close to Portland or just like get a little bit closer. So she ended up going to Freeport and just like shopping around until we gave her the call. So she was already semi-close. But since baby girl had some tests and there were still so many people coming in and out of our room to do certain things, we told them to come by at 4 p.m. and maybe we could do a little dinner together. And so my mom and dad came to the hospital at around 4 p.m. on the 23rd to meet their first grandbaby, and that was just so incredibly special. It was also the first time, because literally my daughter had been born like hours before, but it was the first time that we were like all hanging out with her, like existing with her, letting her hang out in our arms. Like everything felt very primal at that point, or up until then, like making sure we fed her, putting her down so that we could sleep because we were incredibly exhausted. Like it just felt very step by step, or just what do we all need. And so when my mom and dad came and we were all just like talking, and my mom was holding baby girl and she was kind of alert and looking around, it was just really crazy. It was really crazy to me. We ended up making a list of people that we wanted to FaceTime or call, and so we started making our way down that list, and we did not get very far at all. We ended up having to cut the list and text a few more people than we thought that we would need to text versus call, because the hospital was so crazy, and I'll get more to that. But basically we started down the list, and we started with my brother Sam, who again didn't know that we had the baby, didn't know we had gone into labor or anything.
Oh my God. I was expecting hey, we're all gonna wait around the phone, she's going into labor.
I know, surprise.
Holy crap. Wait, how long have you been in labor?
Oh my God, is it a story? Holy moly.
Oh my God, y'all, I knew it. Y'all had a Libra.
Yeah, we did have a Libra.
Oh my God.
But we got about 30 seconds into that phone call. Literally, we put the baby on the screen so that my brother could see her. And then another person came into the room, knocking, needing to talk to me, needing to do some tests, etc. I don't blame anyone for needing to do their job at the hospital. It was just a little frustrating when you were trying to either bond with your baby or call your family, or, you know, do these things, and you literally couldn't. So we didn't end up calling Sam until the very next day, because that day was just so crazy. But the very next day we were packing up to go home, which was a whirlwind. I remember the previous day, so the first full day at the recovery room, I had asked somebody if people usually go home the next day. So that would be the 24th for us, only 2 days after her birth, or less than 2 days after her birth. And that person basically said, yeah, I can put a note in that you want to go home tomorrow. And I was like, well, wait, wait. Do you think I'm ready to go home tomorrow? Like, my question was like a curiosity question, but all of a sudden we had a note saying that we wanted to go home the next day, which I do think was another blessing in disguise, because again, the hospital was just so Twilight Zone, and we hadn't had fresh air in days. So I think it was actually for the best, but I definitely felt ill prepared. So when we were packing up that hospital room, I had my first little mental breakdown. There were just so many emotions. I felt scared. I felt like we still had so much to learn in the hospital. Even though we had done our birth classes and baby classes and all this stuff, it all just felt like it flew out the window. It all felt like it flew out of my brain, and all of a sudden I had no idea how to care for this being. That's how it felt. We innately did. I was just feeling really overwhelmed, and it was also surreal because we were packing up the hospital to go home with our miracle baby, who we'd been fighting to have for 3 to 4 years. So it was just a lot, you guys, okay? It was also just really hard to do normal things like packing up bags and everything, because you guys know that I had a lot of blood loss associated with my birth. So standing up for longer periods of time would make me pretty lightheaded as I was recovering all of that blood, and just all the other normal postpartum things that I was recovering from, like doing all these normal tasks and and picking up an entire room that you've been living in for like over 24 hours and everything is everywhere. It was just overwhelming and surreal for a lot of different reasons. And that definitely bled into the drive home. I literally felt like the hospital was like illegally letting us go home, basically, with a human being that we had to now keep alive. It was crazy. I was like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to let me leave? Like, are you positive? But it was also incredibly emotional because this specifically, the ride home, me in the back seat with my baby and my husband driving. Ooh, that is something that I had pictured for so many years. Like, that is a key moment, and it was exactly how I pictured it. Me in the middle seat next to our baby. Oh my gosh, sobbing my eyes out. Like, I knew I was gonna be sobbing my eyes out for that. So then, like I had mentioned before, even now that we were at home, it took us so long to get through the different phone calls that we wanted to make. It sounds silly, it sounds like that shouldn't take that long, but when you're figuring out your newborn, when you're trying to figure out if she's hungry, why she's crying, you're sleep deprived, so you're trying to nap during her naps, there was just no good times to like call people. It was kind of nuts, but I do have a few captured, so I definitely want to roll those here. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Sorry, I had Jack's phone. I just wanted to show you something.
What the hell?
This is your niece.
What the hell?
What do you think?
When did this happen?
I know. It was a secret. Her name is Annie.
Annie.
Yeah.
We're gonna be best buds.
Yeah, look at her little nose.
Oh my god.
I know.
You guys are gonna be two peas in a pod.
Yeah, seriously, she's gonna love you.
I'm not even saying this to say this, but Max, she looks a ton like you.
That's
Yeah,
what
that's what
everyone
we're saying.
says. Turn towards me.
Oh, wait, what the, what? Oh my gosh!
Vanessa.
Wait, oh my
Auntie Jane.
Auntie Ginger.
God, she's beautiful. Hi, oh my gosh, she has hair.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, little lady.
Hi,
Oh,
Auntie
she does not look
Vanessa.
excited to see me. You know,
Sorry. Oh my god, wow.
Pull over, don't crash.
Wow.
That's
Woo.
that's Annie.
Wow, congratulations. Oh, shit, much
Thanks, man.
You're making us cry, bro.
Who cares? Who cares, man? It's a little baby. You guys made a little baby. That's Mac, you made that.
Yeah, I did.
That's crazy.
I love my family, I love my brothers, I loved calling them, but I think my absolute favorite was Ilya. He was just so shocked, and like, to see our best friend. I am not okay for this video, you guys. I am not okay. We haven't even gotten to like the postpartum bit. But seeing our best friend get emotional over your baby was just like, whew, that was wild. During the first 1 to 2 weeks, my mom was so incredibly helpful. This is something that they asked me before, like in my OB's office before we gave birth, what kind of support we had for us at home. And this sort of support was just everything. There's a reason why they ask you if you have any type of support lined up. And I didn't really understand why. I thought it was more so like, yeah, they'll bring over food so we don't have to cook. No, the type of support that I ended up needing and that my mom was able to provide. And my dad, if my dad is watching this, you are included in this too. But my mom was over, I think, every single day for that first week. And yes, she brought us food. They both ended up buying us groceries to have in the house. They came over and cooked in our kitchen and then left us a ton of leftovers, and that was just insanely helpful. The food situation, just to have ready to go meals so you can grab it, heat it up, and eat. For physical recovery and just to have food, obviously, in general was really important. But the other thing is that first couple weeks, you're just like in this haze. Like it is just this crazy sleep deprived sort of haze, that to have somebody in the house that isn't sleep deprived that can remind you that you can turn on your TV in the middle of the night if you're feeling lonely and you're having to feed baby. I forgot the TV existed. Like literally things like that. Like when I clicked the on button for the TV, it was like, oh my gosh, this existed and I watched TV before this baby existed and now I'm watching TV. It was just, you have this entire new world around you, and so you forget the normal life things that you did before baby existed in your world. I don't know if that makes any sense, but if you know what I'm talking about, comment down below, because the TV was one. Going for a walk was another one. Opening up my computer and just doing the keystrokes, editing a video was so crazy. But my mom, since she wasn't sleep deprived like we were, was there to remind us of these things, and it was also really great to just have another sane person in the room as a sounding board for how we were doing, how we were feeling, different things that weren't working for us in the middle of the night, and just different creative suggestions that could work when our brains just weren't working at 100% at all. It also became a semi-tradition for my dad to join her on the first few Fridays of postpartum, and they would either bring over food that they had cooked at home or they would cook in the kitchen, and we would all have a Friday dinner at our house because we definitely cocooned. I didn't know how I would feel postpartum, if we were going to want to get out right away or if we wanted to cocoon. I was a cocooner. I was like, don't make me leave my house. I'm just here figuring out my baby, and I'm also terrified of the real world right now, so just let me cocoon. The first few weeks were filled with a ton of snuggles, a ton of contact naps. They still are. I'm still right now, as I'm filming this, between week 5 and 6 postpartum and week 5 and 6 of our new baby. So tons of snuggles, tons of contact naps, but there were also a lot of firsts. Everything is a first. It's crazy. We had our first pediatrician appointment, and I'm happy to say that I'm obsessed with her pediatrician and just the entire pediatrician office. They've been amazing. We had her first bath, which she didn't like at first, and then she definitely warmed up to. So it totally depends on the day. She kind of likes baths, I think, but sometimes they are the absolute worst thing. It feels like we're literally torturing our baby. It's horrible. We had our first outing because I needed to pick up a few postpartum essentials that I had run out of, and I will leave my Amazon storefront link down below, and it has a postpartum section if you're wondering the products that I live and swear by for my postpartum experience. So we did that Target pickup, and we also went out and we drove through Starbucks, and that whole outing, just even that, and I didn't even leave my car. Jack went in to get the Target pickup, and then he obviously drove us through the drive-through, didn't leave the car, but the fact that baby girl was in a car seat, I was in the car, like driving places. It was really nerve-wracking, but it was also extremely needed. I hadn't left the house at that point. We had her first Halloween where we dressed her up in a spooky outfit that Nana bought her before she was born. Our first family walk when I was feeling like I could at least walk up and down our driveway. We had our first family photo shoot, which I was really nervous about how that would go because during those first few weeks, it just felt like baby girl was either sleeping or crying because she wasn't sleeping, or she was sleepy, or she was hungry. So I really did not know how we were going to get photos, but I'm telling you, these photographers, specifically our photographer, has a magic baby touch, I swear. She held baby girl. I'm gonna start calling her by her name, by the way. At this point, you guys have already seen her name most likely on Instagram, but baby Annie. That's so crazy to say. But our photographer was holding Annie for the first time, and I swear they just like put her into a lull, and we snapped as many pictures as possible during that lull. But overall, there are just lots of silly moments and really beautiful moments that I'm pretty sure there's not a phone storage plan that could hold all of the photos and all of the videos that we have. I'm gonna end up needing to like transfer them off onto a drive or something. But at this point in time, I've started to share those over on Instagram. So again, if you're not following me on there, make sure you do so if you're wondering about about updates because it's a lot quicker for me to share a photo or to share a video clip on there versus put together some of these videos. But don't get me wrong, I freaking love putting these videos together. They just take a little bit longer than posting on Instagram. Now, all of those happy moments, again, are very real. They are real, they exist, and they're beautiful. But my postpartum experience, especially those first few weeks, were really, really tough, and that's also real. I've gone back and forth about sharing this or how I wanted to share this part because, first of all, I didn't want to scare anybody. I know that there are a lot of pregnant women or women that are going through their own infertility journey that watch my videos, and so I never want to scare anybody or kind of put out a preconceived notion of what those first few weeks could look like for somebody else. So just keep in mind that this is my personal experience and I just don't want to project that on anybody. So maybe if you don't want to like hear about a tough postpartum experience, maybe you just don't watch this part. Or it could prepare you or make you feel validated in the feelings that you might feel postpartum. So make that judgment call, you know yourself best. But the other tough thing was that I never wanted to come off as being ungrateful for this life that I had wished for and longed for so long because of everything that it took to get here. But ironically, the pressure or the expectation I was putting on myself because of what it took to get there and the guilt that I felt for feeling these things because of that made all of these tough postpartum emotions even worse for me. Was that guilt feeling that I couldn't feel these things. But I figured if I was feeling these things, I can't be the only one feeling these things. So it might be really helpful for me and for somebody else out there that I share. Physically, postpartum was pretty good for me. I didn't have a ton of tearing, and luckily my blood loss kind of sorted itself out. But mentally, like I said, especially the early weeks were really tough for me. But I am getting better every single day, every single week. So I just wanted to start off by saying that if you are finding yourselves in those really early weeks and you are feeling in the trenches and you can't imagine that you would ever feel better at all than you do today, I'm here to tell you that it does get better. It did get better for me, and you are so close. You're gonna turn a corner so soon, and it continues to get better as the days and the weeks go on, like I said. Basically, the baby blues hit me really hard, and it's not something that I expected or that I could have prepared myself for, because it turns out that the postpartum hormone shift is the greatest hormone shift that a human being could ever experience, and it is very unique to birth. So lucky us. For a rough timeline, I would say the weeks between 2 and 3 were the toughest for me. But then around the 3rd into the 4th week is when the clouds started lifting for me. But starting off, my birth was beautiful. I loved my birth experience, regardless of what happened during it. But the hospital itself, this is where the postpartum kicks off. So this is where my mind is at right now. It was just a whirlwind. It was just Twilight Zone. I can't even remember half of it. Everybody is in your room, like every single hour. All of them are saying to try to get some rest, but in the same breath, they're also telling me that they'll be back in like 45 minutes to an hour to check on baby's vitals, to bring baby out for a test, to check on my vitals, to check my hemorrhaging, like all of this stuff. Baby girl doesn't know what her nights or days are at this point, so she's not sleeping in the night. She's doing her naps during the day, but during the day they're also doing tests and checking on my vitals. So it is just, I don't love hospital recovery time frame. I was really happy to go home, actually. And then coming home, we had those 2 very sad events happen that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. So that kind of kicked off the at-home postpartum experience for us. But I would say regardless of those things, the first week I felt pretty okay. But looking back, I actually think that I was just so distracted by surviving this new life and existing in my house that I had left without a baby, and now I'm coming back with a baby and we're getting to know her. We're trying to figure out how we both can get sleep. It was just a very like blurry week. So I'd say overall I felt okay, but I think I was just distracted because then by the 4th or 5th day, I felt like everything just started catching up to me, and I definitely felt like I just began to cry. crash. I said in my birth video that I didn't have this insane, magical, euphoric moment when baby girl came out. There was definitely a lot of emotion associated with that moment, but I just didn't have this instant love connection that a lot of people talk about. So on that 4th or 5th day, those thoughts definitely started to catch up to me, and they definitely started to get to my head, because instead for me, there was definitely this intense responsibility that I felt over this human and this innate need to care for her and to keep her alive, but it just wasn't this divine love that everybody talks about. So because of this, I started questioning the connection that I had with my baby, if there was any connection at all with my baby, or if there was just something wrong with me. Those are the thoughts that I started having during these days. I also started experiencing this insane amount of guilt because those first couple weeks were so incredibly difficult. So I just wasn't enjoying a lot of it. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna say that I wasn't enjoying some of it. No, I wasn't enjoying a lot of it. I was physically recovering from birth. We were both sleep deprived. We were questioning everything that we were doing for our baby, if it was the right thing, why she was crying, which can just be confusing and stressful in itself. We had just had to give up our beloved cat that we had had for over 10 years of our adult lives. It was just absolutely insane, and it felt like our life had just completely flipped upside down overnight because it had. But didn't I ask for that? Didn't I wish for that so hard? Didn't I just spend the last 3 to 4 years fighting for this with everything that I had? And because of that, I felt like I was not allowed, or I felt very guilty for not feeling anything but positive things about our new life with our baby. Her crying was also incredibly tough for me, and it's something that I'm still working through, only 5 weeks now postpartum, but it was incredibly difficult for me, and not in the way of somebody being annoyed with a baby crying on an airplane, but it was this intense biological reaction to her cry. And unfortunately, babies just cry. That is literally how they communicate. So for me to have this intense reaction to something that she does all the time was really hard, because it turns out when babies cry, it sends the mother specifically into a biological fight or flight mode. And for me, the best way I can describe it was like somebody was taking an ice pick to my brain every time she would cry, and I couldn't handle it. I physically started to feel like I couldn't handle it, and I started to fear her crying. And because of that, I felt like I couldn't properly soothe my own baby, and that Jack was the only one that could soothe her. So add that on to the reasons I was questioning my abilities as a mother and just as a woman in general. I'm doing a lot better with it now. It's definitely something that I had to work through, and that I'm still practicing and working through, and showing myself that I absolutely can do it, and just giving myself that confidence every single day, every single week, proving to myself that yes, I indeed can soothe my own baby, and I can indeed bring comfort to my own baby. But it turns out, and one of my friends described it as this: newborn babies, especially just very fresh newborn babies, are sacks of potatoes with lungs, you guys. They're adorable sacks of potatoes, don't get me wrong, they're adorable sacks of potatoes, but they just require so much of us physically and mentally the first few weeks, and it just feels like we are giving everything mentally and physically to them without anything, any positive feedback from them in return. No emotional feedback, no smiling, no anything, just crying to let us know that something might be wrong. And because I was finding that so incredibly difficult, that feeling that I was looking for and needed that emotional feedback from my baby also had me feeling incredibly guilty and questioning my abilities as a mother, or if I would even be a good mom at all. So because of all of these things, on days 4 to 5, I just began sobbing. Like every day I would have just a solid sob session, at least once a day, if not twice a day. But talking about these feelings and getting them out instead of just keeping them to myself and bottling them up because I felt like they were wrong and I felt like I was wrong for having them, actually speaking them out and talking through them is what really, really helped me. Also, any conversations that I was having with new moms during this time were like lifelines to me. I would cling to every single word because not only would they validate my feelings in that they also felt those things in the early weeks and that they were really hard and that they were questioning themselves too, but they could also assure me that things get so much better, and I would just cling to that. I would hold on to that because it turns out the newborn stage, especially the early weeks of that newborn stage, are just really, really tough. So it just made me feel hopeful and less alone, and it definitely reminded me that these moments are temporary and things are gonna change so quickly. And call me crazy, call me a bad mom, I already feel those things every single day. But I'm personally soaking in the good moments, but really looking forward to the next phases as well. I really can't wait to experience those too, because after talking to a number of new moms and just validating those feelings, it turns out we're all just not loving every single thing that the newborn stage has to offer, and that this shit is really tough for a lot of women. So if I talked to you at all during this past month, or you made it a point to check in on me, I cannot thank you enough. Those conversations seriously got me through the first few weeks, and I cannot wait to be a lifeline for other new moms out there too. I also could not wait to open up about my experience on here as well, because I feel like this whole new phase of life has been unlocked for me, and it's something that so many other people can also relate to. So I'm just excited to start connecting to people on that level who are also going through this phase of life also. It's like I have just joined an entirely new club, and I can't wait to start trading experiences. But I can confidently say that sitting here today, I am doing so much better. Again, every single day is better. Every single week is better. There are definitely moments of that 2 steps forward, 1 step back type of thing. Definitely cried yesterday from being overwhelmed. It's gonna happen all throughout parenthood, I am sure. But at least that cloud has lifted, you know? So again, if you are just stuck in this cloud and you're just not sure and you don't have hope that it could lift for you, I'm sitting here today telling you that it is going to get better. And I can also confidently say that I am just obsessed with my baby. She still terrifies me. She's still a terrifying being at some points when she is just going through it in her witching hour and we are just convinced that the crying is never gonna stop. It's scary. But you guys, she gave us her first smile the other day and I lost my mind. I haven't sobbed like that in ages. It was just so beautiful. And that smile, that moment specifically, unlocked something for me, and it has just been so much better ever since. So hang in there. Hang in there, hang in there. It's gonna happen for you. Motherhood is just wacko, you guys. It's just crazy, and we're just getting started over here. But anyways, my friends, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for listening to my rambling. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, make sure to do so down below because we're just getting started, like I said. And I'm just excited to continue to share what motherhood looks like for me over here on this channel. I love you all so much, and I will catch you in the next video, my friends. I'll see you later. Bye.